All right, good evening, and welcome to another episode of RCM On Tap, your 60-minute or so roundtable discussion on the topics everyone here at RivalCast Media is talking about. Tonight's topic is leveling up. And now we're going to introduce our panel. First off, she spent her week with the porcelain altar, but had a birthday this week. It's our moderator, the Baroness!
I hate you guys so much.
And we can't hear her.
We can't hear her.
Did
I
she
can hear
not
you.
turn on her
Oh
voice?
no, yes I did, Killer. This is
Now she's just
She can't even. She can't even right now.
Wow,
Okay.
that's a heck of a rage going on there.
All right. Well, next up,
Can you-
his gun collection
Oh
makes
my
the
God.
ATF a little bit uneasy, but don't worry, ladies. He's not gonna, just wants to have a good time. It's Killer McCoy.
I'm gonna kill you, Bio.
And finally, the man who needs no introduction, but we're gonna give him one anyhow. He's our guest panelist this week. He's interviewed more podcasters than you. He's survived more fanfiction audio compilations, than OSHA would consider safe. He once put a bear in a headlock before Putin made it cool. The one and only Sayomara!
Hey.
I keep forgetting.
And then there's me, BiomedAlchemist. There it is.
Yay!
I remember when I could do a good intro. Like, at one point, I thought I had, the intro down to a fine art. And, I don't know, at some point it just kind of left me. Strange that way.
Indeed.
If you listen to my far field intros in the last couple of episodes, I'm not even trying anymore. It's like, pork chop, Hawaii, Scott, ravaged by dogs, whatever.
Joy.
Just get the show going. That's pretty much what you've been shooting for.
Pretty much, yeah. Alright, plebeians. Party time's over, because my birthday was yesterday, and I got screwed out of it a little bit, so you know what? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So, Bio, thank you for doing the introduction. My head is pounding right now, and then, smacking it against the back of the wall because I realized that we're on push to talk, and that's why nobody could hear me. Yeah. It's
we just figured you were just flat out raging about the intro. Just like,
who the hell is sending me a video call right now? Really? We're just, oh my god.
What?
Seriously. Duh.
Serious?
There's only three people. Three people I want to talk to on video chat right now, and they're already in this room. So no, stop it.
Yup.
Stop it. You know what
Yup.
9:30 is, damn it. All right, don't close out of TeamSpeak because we want to be able to hear everyone.
That's always a good idea.
Oh my god, does my head hurt so
definitely.
bad right now. All right. Gentlemen, let's get this conversation started before anything else goes awry this evening. My god. All right. So, as Bio pointed out, the entire theme of tonight is centered around the idea of leveling up, because there's two ways that you can think of birthdays. Now, we mentioned my birthday was yesterday. I'm totally okay with this idea because, birthdays are cool and awesome and, should be celebrated, in my opinion. Others find them to be sort of like a reminder that you're 1 year closer to death, which is kind of morbid. I prefer to think of them as a reminder of the accomplishments that you've created over the last year. So tonight's topic questions kind of center around the idea of where have you been, where you're going, and what fun are you having along the way. So for tonight's first question, where the hell did they go? Thinking about where we've been, the icebreaker question, yes, Killer, I'm going to put it up in a second. What did you want to be when you grew up, and how did that change over the years? So, Bio, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, well, I think I went through the rather standard things a lot of people did. Wanted to be an astronaut. There were a lot of kind of cool movies that came out when I was a kid that kind of would steer you that direction. Like Apollo 13 came out in, I believe, 94 or 95. So it's like, oh, that's really awesome and all that. I wanted to kind of do that or some form of engineering. It changed just over time, kind of like what the question asked. At one point, I was kind of looking at the military. There were some, in college, there were some ROTC recruiters that had a lot of interest in that for some reason, and that didn't pan out. So, at some point it becomes what you really want to do, which in some ways I'm still kind of looking at, like, what do I really want to do for the next 20 years, So, just depends. So yeah, I mean, I think it's jumped a lot. Overall, I kind of want to be in a role where I can think and make some decisions on my own. So that's where I'm at now. That's it.
Awesome. Sayo with a bunny on your shoulder.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just hanging out here. So, when I was young, the earliest thing I can ever, because obviously your teachers in a young age have to ask you these things. And the earliest I can ever remember setting mind to this was at one point I wanted to be a fireman. And, obviously that didn't happen. So, and at some point, there were these kids' books where you'd get, like, here's a book about, it'd be like a 30-page, mostly pictures book. Here's a book about Mercury. Here's a book about Venus. Here's a book about the Earth, the Moon, etc., etc. And I love those books. And I think I really got into them like 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, somewhere in there. Because I remember going to the public library, and once I transferred from Catholic school to the public school, I didn't go to the public library anymore because, public schools and reading, definitely not one and the same. So, whatever. But I really loved astronomy. I loved physics. So, and my initial kind of theory was I wanted to, go into astronomy. And I did actually go into physics and astronomy when I went to college. And that didn't work out so well. That's a long story. Eventually I became a bus driver, and, now I'm a teacher. So, fun.
Okay. That seems like a pretty logical progression to me, though, so...
But, other than the bus driver part, that tends to be a little... But
I think at some point or another, we all have, like, that little one-off thing. Because I remember when I was talking to my brother earlier this week, we were
I don't know if 7 years is a one-off thing, but yeah, we'll go with that.
Indeed.
I was talking with my brother about these questions earlier in the week, and he reminded me of... It was actually kind of a funny thing. There's a year and a half between each of my siblings and I. So the year and a half between me and my sister, and then, so 3 years between me and my brother. And when he was young, I started kindergarten, we had the same sort of questions. And so my brother decided to tell my grandmother that, when he grew up, he wanted to be a trash man. And he kept going on about wanting to be a trash man. So, she's like, all right, well, whatever. He's 3, So the garbage man would come up in the afternoon, and she'd put him up at the window so he could see it. And he's like, oh, that's cool. But no, he didn't mean he wanted to be like a garbage man, like driving the garbage truck. He wanted to be Oscar the Grouch. Is what he wanted to be when he grew up. He wanted to live in the trash can and be the trash man is what he wanted. So, Killer, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, when I wanted to grow up, I like bio. I kind of wanted to be an astronaut. Then it kind of morphed into I wanted to be a fighter pilot in the Air Force. But of course, my eyesight went pretty bad pretty quick in my early teens.
Same.
So that was...
So what? You guys don't have 20/10 vision?
No, we don't. No.
Oh, first grade, I already had glasses. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, I wanted to join the Army. I wanted to be an Army officer. My idea is I either wanted to be an armored infantry, maybe, or intelligence, because I had this big plan, but I was going to go in the military, have a career, get out, start up a defense contract company, and start developing weapons, armors for the foot soldier and stuff like that. Basically, I wanted to be Tony Stark. I wanted to be that crazy inventor.
I was going to say a combination between Q and the A-Team, but, Tony Stark kind of consolidates that idea nicely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I so wanted to develop power armor. I so want that to happen. But, so I went to college. I had got an RTC scholarship, was going to the local college. It had a great program. Then I got medically disqualified on my scholarship. So the scholarship was just gone. And at the time, also, I just started doing their PT, and I was sucking it badly. I was not prepared. So I had that kind of as a mental drag. So I was like, you know what? Maybe the military is not a career for me. So I went on with my computer programming degree, finished it, tried to get a job in programming. No one was hiring. Then somehow I got a job on the local base as an IT guy. So that was how I got to be an IT guy.
So you kind of got kind of close there. You know, you're
I
still
kind of
working
did,
on-
yeah.
Yeah, in the
I
end.
kind of did.
See, I was sort of all over the place too. The two big things that I wanted to do were journalism or being a scientist because I thought that was amazing. Both fields. So I remember, like, when I was a kid, I used to always be into, being outside and exploring, conducting little experiments. I drove my grandmother nuts because we would go to like tag sales and things, and I'd want like all this outdated, like old telephones and stuff, not to play with per se, but so I could take them apart and figure out how they worked. And so she would never want me to do that, but then my grandfather would turn around because he'd hear me talking about it and why I wanted it, and so he'd turn around and get it so that I could tear it apart and play with the gears and figure out how these different things, came together. So that's always been a big part for me. And then once I actually got into college, um, I didn't like I was accepted under the engineering program, but then I ended up switching before I actually started. So I ended up doing the education program almost my entire way through, and then just kind of realized that public school teaching wasn't for me. So Sayo, salute, because you do stuff that I can't. No, no. Um, I
You
still.
just gotta treat it like any other job.
I
right?
know, and
I mean, teachers have way too much more
I
complex
still
than them,
got
so.
sucked back into education though, even though I said I wasn't going to after that. But it's, with adults, it's a little bit kind of different. So,
Oh,
um,
except for when they act like children.
no comment, no comment, no comment. No comment.
Safe bet. Safe bet.
Exactly. Plausible deniability are the two most beautiful words in the English language. So yeah, no comment.
There was a great, gonna say, someone, Lyser in chat says, haha, woman engineer. If you follow Steve Dunn, who's occasional guest on Farfield, he had a great little thing on his Twitter feed, which is Flying Cars Kill. It was, there was this picture, and it said, this woman goes to a gym, and, she's a doctor, and, she goes to the locker room, and she types in the ridiculous long code to get in there, and it won't accept her in. And so, after spending like 15 minutes, like banging her head against, like she goes to the staff, like, hey, why won't let this man? Like, oh, well, that's because you're a doctor, and the system just assumes all doctors are men.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It's like, this is a thing in like 2014, 2015.
Oh, God.
For reals. Sorry, Lyser's comment of haha, woman engineer reminded me of that.
Which is actually interesting because I've worked with several woman engineers and had a pretty good time. Like I typically was more the support role in those.
Sorry.
Whatever.
No, he phrased it.
No.
It was wrong phrasing. Wrong.
No, I mean the projects we worked on, there was always kind of a unique solution to it somehow. Whereas the funny thing is, most of the women kind of in our shop were more on the testing end, and if you compared what they found versus the male programmers, it was always that the male programmers just kind of cranked out something real lazy and like half written, and it broke, and they'd come back like, oh, well, you need to fix this, this, and this, these functions aren't working, and they'd just be like, oh, okay, I'll fix that. And I'd be embarrassed if I pushed stuff out like that all the time, but somehow they weren't. Yeah.
What I really liked about it, because I was involved before I was at Penn State, and this is actually why I got accepted into the engineering college, because they offered me a full 4-year scholarship, and I ended up turning it down because ridiculous reasons. But the reason that I really enjoyed it is because while I was in high school, they have a women in engineering program at Penn State, Maine, that does like different summer camps and different programs to kind of get high school girls, interested in engineering, kind of cultivate that to give them not just like the technical background, but like the leadership background too. So there were various projects that we did in these different summer camps that involved a lot of like collaborative action, both in our group and then working with some of the other, the actual students who are already in the engineering program. What I always thought was most interesting is that when we would work with like the guy engineering students, when we were given a problem, we both like the women came at it from a completely different angle from what the men did in a lot of the different ways that we were looking at it. Neither one of them were right or wrong, but it was just being able to look at it from those different aspects gave us a better overall idea of how to actually attack and solve the problem.
Yeah.
So it's just sometimes it's even just that little difference in communication can make a huge impact if you're willing to work together. So that was just me.
Yeah. It's kind of funny you mention that, because at one time in recent years I was looking at Penn State's Master's in Systems Engineering program, and unfortunately I didn't have the math I think I determined. I looked at it like, I don't want to take, like, there are many things I would rather do than take Calculus 2. And yeah.
Oh, that was such a
I'm
fun
telling
class.
you, Calc 3 was one of the greatest math classes I ever took. It was
Calc
amazing.
2 is better than Calc 2.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I had enough fun with Cal 1. It's like, there's no way I'm doing 2 and 3 for this. Nope. Especially the place I was working at, I would not have gotten a significant benefit out of it. I still would have been where I was.
3 was probably the easiest of the Calc classes because really it was just building on what you learned in the first two, and then you're just extrapolating or building upon that into multiple dimensions.
Which is not true of differential equations, because once you jump to differential equations, then they just kick you in the balls and say, hey,
yeah, I've heard that. I had a friend who was a CS major who he had to take differential, and he was just like...
Diffie Q is just a bitch.
Yeah, I think he dropped his math minor for that, or maybe it was something like it tagged on with it, but he had to take that class for some reason. He was just like, nope, I'm going to do what it takes enough to take that class. I'm done.
Wow.
I ended up taking the engineering version of the class rather than the straight mathematician version, because they actually taught in a way that made sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Though I think my professor had like heart problems because he'd always walking in with like, Mount Mercy Heart Center shirts. I'm like, he had heart problems. He kind of had the look of like, someone who had heart problems. So I don't know. Just kind of the weird things you remember about your various professors. Like, why did you keep wearing all? Like, was there a pile of this at the Goodwill that you got real cheap?
And the question kind of comes up, like, did they anticipate themselves being a teacher, a lecturer at that point? Because a lot of those guys are just in it for research or
this was
to
a
be an
math
academic
professor. I mean, he obviously, what are you going to do with it? You're either going to work for the CIA or you're going to be a professor somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, cryptography, yeah.
Yep.
Well, cool. So we had some pretty interesting things that we wanted to be when we grew up, and some of us got a little bit close to that, so that's always a good thing. Keep talking for a minute while I get my train of thought together. It's been a rough week.
One of these days, I'm going to teach an astronomy class, goddammit. And that's really... I have the credentials to do it. I just have to find a place that'll actually let me do it. If I manage that, then I'll be very happy.
I'm going to make sure that on that particular day, when you do that, it'll be like, oh, it's Neil deGrasse Tyson Day.
I was going to say something about that.
Say it was a super fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, super fan is definitely the word for it.
And remember,
I am over-exaggerating at the absolute maximum when I say that.
Remember, Sayo, when you do get to that day, and it'll happen eventually, just, got to bide your time a little bit. But remember to tell people at the very beginning of class what my astronomy professor said to us on the first day. So this was my final semester as an undergrad. I was taking astronomy as an elective just because, I needed something to fill out my schedule, and I'd always wanted to learn a little bit more about it, but I never had the chance. So it fit into my schedule. It was great. So first day of class, I wish I could remember the professor's name because she was fantastic. I remember her first name was Sharon because that's how she wanted to be called. But anyway, she walks into class, she introduces herself, welcome to Astronomy 101. By the way, this is about stars and how they form and how constellations are and, we're going to talk about, this, and this. If you're wondering about things like, how your star sign factors into your love life, that's astrology, and you're not in the right class, so you might want to, just save yourself the hassle and leave now. And half the people walked out.
Seriously?
Seriously?
Really?
That comes
That's
from
amazing.
Experience.
I wish to God I were making that up, and no, half the class just walks up, looks at each other, and then just leaves.
You say that, but I mean, I look at, I listen to conversation with my students in class, and for, a relatively agnostic generation, they are obsessed, especially the female demographic. I can't speak to the male demographic with, what does this, particular birthday say about you? And, this Facebook study, with my birthday lets me say with my sign that I'm going to do this and my love life and my personality patterns. And these are the people I'm compatible with. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Keep going on that one.
That was once a factor that a third party set me up for a date on. It's like, oh, you're an Aries and you're a something.
My
and I was just
God.
like, I'm looking at like, okay. So how about, tell me some personality reasons I should be involved in
You're
this.
an Aries and they're something. Totally compatible.
Yeah, it's it. And then like, it was so awkward too. When we actually did.
How could it not be?
Yeah.
I know. It's like, oh man.
Didn't you know we were predestination by the actual stars? Did I tell you I'm actually a starship captain in another life?
Wait, are you Varyar now? What?
Oh,
I am-
God.
I am filling in, so.
That's
That's
true.
Boy.
That's
Point,
true.
Point. All right. I don't know how we're going to segue into the next question, so, whatever.
He is just a nod. It's just
Oh, no, okay. Here's how we're going to segue into this, okay?
Neil
Since
deGrasse Tyson?
Varyar's everyone's hero, right? I know this. No, just go with me for a minute, okay? So Varyar's everyone's hero here at RCM. So, Sayo, filling in as Varyar, you get to be our hero for the night. Who is one of your current heroes other than Varyar, and why did they inspire you?
My current heroes.
You could go with the past one too. That's fine. I'm not really being picky tonight.
No, I looked at this question. I'm like, who do I consider a hero? I'm like, I don't know. I kind of look up to certain people. I think some certain people are really cool. Like Charlie W. Cook, writer for National Review Online. Really awesome person. I was going to say, I like him quite a bit, but I don't know if I'd consider him a hero. And, I've gotten over the realization like Hollywood people and sports athletes are not heroes. And, I've also come to the point where I've understand my parents to understand that they're, both how hard it is to raise children at the same time, like, all the things, like, the perspective, like, I don't see my parents as heroes. I mean, I respect and acknowledge them and, like, think the world of them. So, like, all the obvious places where we find heroes, I don't know. I guess I don't really look up to people like that. It's not how I guess I tend to view people much more evenly. So, I think that's the realization to a certain part of getting older too. Like, all these people you thought so much, they're just, another person. Like you say that when you're young, but you don't really believe it because you want to like both, make heroes and villains of all these people in the universe. But I don't know. I guess there are some people who I think if you want to say there are real heroes in the world, are the people who actually, like, we live in a world where most people are you just bitch about things. The people who actually go out and are agents of change. Like, if you, obviously Bio cares a lot about, like, the war on women stuff, and, not just complaining, sitting in a first world country, sitting on Twitter or Tumblr and like, oh, the patriarchy is so terrible. Like,
Which I just commented about that in chat. Someone was like, "Oh, except Superman." I was like, "Superman's a patriarchal tool of empowerment."
But if you want to deal with people who are going into fighting like human trafficking and the
Oh yeah.
the sex slave trade and things like that, and trying to combat that on a real person to person issue, be it buying these people and getting them out of there. And obviously with the rise of ISIS, this has gone up like substantially because you have all these people who are captured and now being sold as slaves. But I think if you're that kind of, I do admire like the person who's willing to go into enemy territory, like unarmed and generally just as themselves, and try to make a difference. And honestly, people going in armed are not any less heroes, truth be told, but it's a different kind of thing.
And you make some very good points there. And let me kind of give you an idea, like when I was writing these questions, where my thought process was, because when I went back through them, prepping for this week's show, I was kind of hitting on the same questions / problems that you just mentioned. It's like once you get to a certain age, you don't really think about heroes in the same way as we did when we were kids. So when I was initially writing the questions out, I was thinking more about like, who did you look up to as a kid and why did they inspire you? Because the idea behind it was, when you start analyzing that, it's like, what values did they bring to you at that age that you latched onto and helped make you as you got older? And that's where the thought process was.
Well, I think any child of a certain age found Michael Jordan to be a hero. I'm just saying. But then you found out when he retired that, it was the Hall when Michael Jordan stopped being, a heroic figure in my mind at that Hall of Fame speech, when he drags that high school classmate to his Hall of Fame thing just to humiliate him. Like, I got you, like, whoa.
Don't remember that.
When did you turn into such a giant a-hole? Like, this guy beat you out for a spot on the freshman basketball team, like, 30-something odd years ago, and you're holding a fucking grudge? Can I cuss on this? Let's assume I can. Killer can bleep it out.
No, we're good. This is a true show.
We don't care.
Okay, well, Killer can, anyways, and you're holding a grudge after all these years? Like, really? Like, wow. Like, obviously there's the whole thing with all the women you're sleeping with and non-disclosure agreements and all that kind of stuff. It's like, and then let's not forget the sports gambling. Like, I had to take a couple years off basketball because it was getting a little bit much. Obviously, all that stuff, background, didn't know anything about it. You just like, wow, this guy's quite an athlete, which he was. So, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but it seemed relevant.
Thanks, Kanye.
Yo.
I'm happy for you, and I'm gonna let you finish.
All right. I don't even know how to follow up on that, Sayo. Good job.
I do what I can. So, you have heroes, and our perspective on heroes has changed.
All right, so reframing the question back to what I was originally intending.
Making this the conversation I wanted to have.
Well, you know what?
But your face got
ruined
really,
it.
Your face got really close to the camera when you did that. The face conversation was really good to have. Like, ooh, you're scaring me. Yeah, that's way too close.
You got a pimple on your forehead.
I don't doubt that. I also have.
Oh, God.
Poor Bio.
Yeah, I'm always held hostage by a red Muppet.
Killer.
That's kind of creepy. Yes, Baroness.
When you were growing up, who did you look up to?
I thought about this, Baroness. To tell you the truth, I don't have a one example. They're all. I think the closest I could come to people I kind of looked up to, it was the astronauts from the Mercury and the Apollo and the Gemini programs. Then, because they were, going into the edge of space and doing things that no man or person had done before, which, that was just kind of inspiring because I wanted to do that as a kid, of course. And later on, there was a website that does like 5 things you didn't, the baddest of the badasses and stuff, like crack.com. They're sometimes some great articles, and some of them they're talking about the astronauts, and you learn things about them. It's like, holy crap, this person could have died, but somehow he survived, not because of his smarts, his intelligence, and staying calm, and because he was physically fit.
Right.
I think
And
the best one from one of those articles I remember is somebody who would manually calculate their
Yes,
entry
exactly.
trajectory, but with like they made scrapes on the
Yeah.
inside of the
Sure,
glass,
yeah.
so that they could figure out, okay, I need like a 33 degree angle of entry. Like, okay.
Which, if
Yes,
you've ever read, the FAA actually has, if you know where to look, they have the documentation all about re-entry. It's just straight up, physics equations and all that. And you look at it, and it's pretty amazing that
Yeah.
somebody could just do that, just from making up their own gauge of what angle they are compared to the Earth and all that. It's incredible.
So yeah, that's kind of my thought. And I don't know if this was true, but I think someone tweeted this at one. It was a big tweet thing about when Neil Armstrong finally died. Someone had said he used to, when he would talk to people, he said he would make a joke and everything about being on the moon, and when no one would laugh, it's like, oh, I guess you had to be there.
Nailed
That's
it.
good.
Exactly. It was like, wow, just amazing. Just
Yeah.
the humor, and just they're human beings, yet they were dedicated at the time to pushing the limits of human technology and exploration.
Just being trailblazers, really. I mean,
Exactly.
I can definitely see you now, like, where that came into play for that. So, very cool. Bio?
Mine is similar to Killer's in terms of a lot of space program stuff, but I kind of looked at the flight controllers a bit more. Gene Kranz, who was like the guy that, when things happened, especially with Apollo 13, he was at the right place at the right time, and he basically was telling people, like, we've never done this before, there's a first time for everything, let's do it. If you read his it's kind of more of an autobiography, I guess, but Failure is Not an Option, which kind of derives from the Apollo 13 line, the movie line. But he kind of talks about everything from, starting from Mercury up, because he was one of those people that had been there pretty much since the start of NASA, or at least once they finally really got serious about manned spaceflight. And seeing that they basically built this from nothing with, some ideas from some German rocket scientists is absolutely fascinating. And the number of times that they drilled, I mean, you always think of the astronauts drilling, you see all the PT they went through. These guys went through they had whole back rooms. The people that were sitting there at the consoles were only a fraction of mission control. You had people in back rooms running computers, running punch cards through to come up with solutions and all sorts of things. I also think of John Aaron, who's really well known for some of the solutions he came up with. In the Apollo 13 mission, for example, he came up with the power solution for them to bring the command module back online. And he knew, as a systems engineer, one of his fascinations was knowing things regardless of his job. And he said that was always a trademark of a good ecom, which would be like, I forgot the exact, I know it's communications, electronics, electrical systems, and environment, I believe. But one of the good kind of factors is, even if it's not your job and it's not your responsibility, you still need to know about it. And because of that, he actually saved a lot of missions along the way. Apollo 12, when it got struck by lightning on the way up, he was the one who knew this obscure switch to flip, which the infamous, at least in the space community, SCE to aux, which even the flight directors are just like, what's that? Is that even on the panel? What are you talking about? And sure enough, he guided them to where it was. They flipped it, and all the computers came back online, and they were good. And it's those people who think, when everybody else is just kind of focused on getting there, it's the person who's not necessarily a downer saying we're not going to make it, but has thought through so many scenarios. There's so many steps ahead of everyone else that when it happens, they're like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that last week. You just flip these, this switch, turn this dial to here, and you're good. And that was one of the things I think had a profound effect on me when I started getting into servers, because I would actually sit there and think up disaster plans, like, okay, when this happens, it means this and we need to do that. And I actually got to, kind of take that role once at former employment because of that. So, yeah, as for like current heroes, I guess the problem is kind of like what Sayo said, kind of things change. One of the things I've kind of learned from watching, especially, you know, some people in this so-called geek culture we have, they're people kind of all over actors or bloggers or whatever, and one of the things people are saying is, look, I mean, if you're gonna, so to speak, idolize this person, don't meet them, because when you do, I mean, I've heard of people go meet Will Wheaton, and he's blown it away with, oh, I was just sick that weekend or whatever. I mean, I've been sick and I've not managed to do some of the things you've apparently done to some of your so-called fans, so I don't know. So it's one of those things where now I look more at ideals. Like, I guess if there's one person in the current era I could think of, it would be Malala. I mean, all she wants is for, you know, women to have an equal shot at education, and like Saya was saying, a lot of these areas where it's sex traffic, and, you know, we have first world problems with some of our things, I believe, at least. And you're looking at people where, I mean, she gets shot in the head.
If you have a Tumblr account, you're probably doing okay, right?
Yeah, pretty sure. If you have internet access, you know, and you can go to any website you want, you're probably doing pretty good. Versus the whole, like, you're having to have school underground in a bunker where, you know, in secret, because if somebody finds out, they're going to go blow it up. I mean, it's... I think I admire the people that are pushing for... pushing against the grain on that, I guess. Pushing for the idea that regardless of what demographic you come from, there's a baseline of things that you should be able to have a shot at. I mean, there's no guarantee of success, and I don't think there should be a guarantee of success with it. I think that comes with hard work and some other factors along the way. But
the things that I think is more admirable as you get older is the people who do, and not just the people who say, because you learn how cheap words really are. I was actually thinking about this in terms of, like, has the pen and the sword, like, you know, the Eternal Battle always says the pen is mightier than the sword, but have we gotten to a point where, you know, the sword has become more powerful because the person who's willing to take, you know, extreme measures, be it, you know, armed conflict, or just, you know, the person who's willing to engage in that, you know, that person is more powerful. You know, when we look at how quickly we fold before that person, you know, and Western society seems to be crumbling before, you know, what seems to be a bunch of ragtag terrorists, but nonetheless, seems to be, seem to be,
That kind of reminds me of my favorite quote. I like to read from my favorite book of Starship Troopers. People who don't believe violence ever solved anything is failed to... yeah, it's just... Violence is always going to be there.
Yeah, I think so. Even when you see arguments that just get aggressive, and you can clearly tell that somebody's trying to use their tone to put you in a lower place, or even academic pressure. So not even a threat of violence, but an idea that you're on the wrong side of this argument, and my side's going to make sure that your side is either erased from history or put in their place. Yeah. Which is kind of what drives a lot of these online arguments that have been going on recently, is that I'm in a place of authority, and you're here because you're the old guard, and I'm going to put you down because that's what the new guard's always supposed to do.
Or
and it's just
the new idea is so ridiculous that, you know, well, nobody's thought about it this way, so obviously you're wrong.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, it's... I kind of feel like when it comes to those kinds of things, going back to what Sayo said about action and such, if you look at the scientists of old, going all the way, you know, as far back as we've kind of written with them, a lot of them were actually really bad in school, in formal education. A lot of the ones that have made a difference, you look at like the Michael Faradays of the world, who, you know, for one reason or another, just they couldn't handle school. And now their stuff is taught in the universities that they didn't grace the halls of because
they think differently.
One reason or another. Right. Yeah, there's this idea of they had some sort of obsession with knowing about this one thing, and they clung on to it. And they just kept going.
Revolution rarely comes from the, you know, inside of the establishment. Revolution always comes from the outside, because you need free thinkers. I mean, and the establishment is always resistant to, outside ideas. I mean, look at something like plate tectonics, or, bacteria being, able to survive like stomach acid or causing ulcers. I mean,
Right.
the people were, these are ideas. This was 60 and 20 years ago, respectively, that people said, bacteria cannot survive inside the human stomach. It cannot survive. And now we have this entire class of microorganisms like the extremophiles, which like now we acknowledge, like, okay, there are these.
Yeah, now they can like survive in space. Yeah.
No, I mean, well, like, don't survive. They're not active in space though. They can survive through space.
Right.
There's a difference, but yeah. And same thing with like plate tectonics. Like the old guard was incredibly resistant to this whole, like, clearly the mantle isn't changing at all. It's clearly always been the same way. And,
right.
These weren't stupid people. They weren't unintelligent, but they were also highly entrenched. And highly entrenched, oftentimes, you get people, I don't know, I guess, sometimes it's frustrating to me is like an unwillingness to admit, enlightened self-interest. Like, because people are like, I'm doing this for the right reasons, and this is totally the way it is. And yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Like, as you get older, you're like, no, you're not doing this for the right reasons. No, you're not doing this because you're, working for humanity.
May have started that way.
It might have started that way, but you're doing this because this is what's best for you. There's nothing. Why not just admit that? Like, what is wrong with admitting the fact that, hey, I'm looking out for number one. I don't know. And the people, and that's why people of action, people who put themselves secondary to that, like really put themselves secondary to like actually going out there and doing something that's meaningful. That's why it's much more admirable, in my opinion, than those of us who are just like pretending. Not that we're pretending, but I mean, the people who do pretend. I mean, I think we're all just kind of doing our own thing and just trying to get by most days.
Indeed.
Which would go well with growing up.
Yeah.
You want to get back to the topic?
I mean leveling up.
Either or.
Yeah.
It works more with growing up than leveling up, because leveling up is more like what you get to after you grow up. Growing up is more you're learning the basics, so to speak, and then leveling up is like, okay, you know the basics, and now you have a lot more control over what you can do and what you decide to beef skills up on or choose your path, so to speak. You don't always have that when you're younger, which is actually a very nice segue. Thank you, Sayo. Because for me, like when I was thinking about this question, there were two people that came to mind for kind of different reasons. One of them was Oprah, and not for the reasons that you think. I don't agree with her politics on most things, but what I really liked about her when I was growing up was this idea.
But you get a car.
I was about to say, you get a car.
This was prior to all that. This was prior to her being that big that she could just give cars to everybody.
Sure.
But
she worked her butt off for a lot of stuff.
She did. And for someone, like, she got her first show in Chicago the year I was born, in 1984. So growing up, she was on TV all the time. She worked her way up through, the little talk show in the afternoon to make herself like the media mogul that she eventually became to be, so she could be giving out cars left and right. But the background that she came from was just so, the challenges she overcame were just so great that it's like to go from that and really to pull herself up and work her tail off to get to where she was just incredibly inspiring.
Well, and give her credit. Like, she is one of those people who, you can say it's, she largely focuses on Africa, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Africa needs a lot of help.
Yeah, definitely.
And she's going out there. She's setting up schools. Like, she's not running them herself, but, at the same point, the benefit she can give is, hiring people to set up these schools, protect those schools, educate the people in that area that wouldn't otherwise not have any education at all.
Exactly.
I mean, that's an admirable thing.
Exactly, and not just wallow back in the idea that, I have all this money that I'm never, ever going to possibly be able to spend in my lifetime. Using it and actually doing something good with it on top of everything else is just really, I've always looked up to her for that reason. The other
More so than like the Bill and Melinda Gates, which I would think have kind of like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation seems to be like a massive failure in my opinion. I don't know. That's kind of a sidetrack, but
the other person that I really looked up to when I was growing up was, and this was actually going to come up next week, although I think I'm going to have to switch up our questions again. But the coolest teacher that I ever had wasn't even actually a teacher per se, so much as she was the school librarian for the elementary school where I went to when I was growing up. And I really looked up to her because at a time in my life where everything was chaos, she was like the one constant that I could always talk to about anything that was happening. I was always huge on reading, so the fact that she went out of her way to make sure that, I got to, read at the level that I was at, and if there was something I was interested in, she ordered in those books. If she couldn't get a hold of them, she would, order them in from, a library that could get them, just so I was continually growing. The fact that she put that much time and effort into one student that really needed it, just...
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she, I think, more than anybody else, was kind of like the inspirational point for that, because as I got older and started growing, I was always into science, I was always into making, into writing, into, trying to make things a little bit better, but it wasn't just the abstract thoughts of, okay, well, this can help humanity in this way. It's like, who are the specific people you're trying to help, and making sure that you're connecting with those people. So, Mrs. Corbett, if you ever read this or hear this, thank you.
that reminds me of, I was listening to one of my podcasts recently, and it was director of a film festival like in DC, and he was saying like about movies in general, and his point was, if you start out by saying your movie is directed at all people, you've already lost, because no movie is directed at all people.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's similar with, what are our goals in life? What are we trying to accomplish? If your goal is to, I want to help everybody, like, okay, you've already lost. Like,
It's not attainable.
Well, yeah, you're striving for a goal that you like. I mean, that's not to say it's impossible. Clearly, there are people who've changed their lives for almost everyone in the world for the better. But is that most people? I mean, especially in like maybe you're the person who built, like, well, you see, I built this slightly better screw in your cell phone protective cover that makes it less likely to fall off. Like, okay, so maybe you made the lives of a bunch of people better in that way, but
you made hipsters everywhere a little bit less meh.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I mean, if that screw was then used in the space shuttle, and that screw is the one thing that holds, the protective shell together to prevent, Bio and Killer from being sucked out into the stratosphere. I would say that's
first off,
it's
it's glue and tiles, not screw.
Yeah, I'm imagining them describing this to an astronaut like, yes, this one screw, we used to use it in cell phones till we realized, you know what, it'd really do well on the next space shuttle.
I'm trying here,
see that.
okay?
No, but I could see the look on the astronaut's face is like, I'm
You're
not
aware
getting
that
on that.
Really?
Dragon is stealing a whole bunch of like Tesla technology for the Man Dragon capsule, right?
Yeah.
Like apparently they're stealing. Like apparently the Tesla. I've never been inside a Tesla car, but apparently they have touch screens for like everything.
Right.
And apparently they stole the touch screens out of there for the Man Dragon capsules rather than having actual instrumental controls.
Yeah. Well, and that's what kind of
strikes me as a
happens
bad
with some
idea,
of those. The
but,
technology does
whatever.
get cross-used.
So,
Yep.
buttons.
You guys were just chattering and chattering and chattering, and then all of a sudden everything went silent, so I'm like, did I lose feed? What?
No, we're still here.
Fantastic.
I think.
Fantastic.
Are we? I think we are.
Alright. So, we're at, oh god, I don't even know what time it is.
9:20.
Yeah.
Yes, 9:20.
No,
Or
not
10:20.
Yeah. You guys are all in the same time zone, I'm not. because my time
We're in
zone
the right
is
time zone. Come on.
my time
This
zone is
is a
better.
democracy, so no matter what, it's 9:20. You know,
Ooh.
3 versus
No,
1. Just saying.
No, you guys
Just
made me
saying.
moderator, which means that my time zone is the time zone. Just saying.
That's
Anyway, it is now 10:20 or 9:20, depending on where you are. If you're in Europe, you're just laughing at us at this point. Go,
Oh,
whatever time
they're
you feel
always
like
laughing
it.
at us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's glorious.
Well, I mean, it is. Well, I mean, considering it's like 3:30 in Great Britain right now, I
Yeah.
don't think it's. I don't think they're laughing at us. I think they're
Sleeping.
barely staying awake. Yes.
Sleeping. Yeah, they're sleeping right now. They're dreaming about this, going, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna screw with you guys a little bit and switch up the last question altogether.
Whoa!
Yep.
No.
Yep. So this was
The question
the question.
shuffle.
This was
The
the question
question
you were gonna
shuffle.
get, but you're not gonna get this question anymore.
Oh.
Have to look at the stream
Bum,
now.
bum,
and
bum.
You
see.
mean I have to think on my feet? Darn it, I'm not even on my feet, I'm on my ass. I can't work with this.
She's changing it. Like I see the current one. I see the current one, but that's not
Yeah,
what's gonna
that was
happen. Oh, she's covered me with the window. That's just amazing.
Ooh.
I just feel warm fuzzies
So
from
very,
that.
very nice.
She's like, that's right, and I'm gonna keep it that way, Bio.
I thought about it. I won't lie.
Jesus.
Hey, Killer, how was that that chicken that you had earlier?
Oh, it was so delicious. So good. Oh.
The facial expressions now are just amazing.
Hey, no,
by the way.
in all
I hate you
seriousness,
two
we
so
we
much.
hope that you have a speedy recovery and you're eating
Yes.
regular food soon. Although
So
you
you can
had
stop
eggs
complaining.
today, right? There
did.
you go.
I did
First
have
world
eggs
problems. Some people don't get food. They have to chase down their
No.
chicken they
I
want
got
to eat.
okay. I got screwed out of both my birthday cake and my birthday steak. All right, two things that I was looking forward to for a very long
right.
time.
All
No,
right. No.
off the
Oh, no.
table now.
No, wait, hold
I
on.
am upset.
No. Birthday steak, I completely understand. You should be upset. You should be demanding your steak right now. I'm totally for birthday steak.
Totally am. Have you ever put candles in your birthday steak? Because that's pretty amazing.
What?
No.
That's what makes it
I'm
a
gonna say
birthday steak.
no.
You
Obviously,
don't even
you're
just
doing
get
this
like a
wrong.
cupcake
I'm
next to
sorry.
it and put the candles in that.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
that's not-
why
no,
would you
that's-
say sacrilege? You don't put
No.
wax on a
Well,
steak.
No, okay,
you don't,
no,
you don't
you
ruin
don't-
a perfectly
no,
good steak
okay,
with
okay,
paraffin
okay,
wax.
okay, no.
Wow.
Because we made that mistake one
Thanks,
time.
Hank.
All right, one time we made that mistake. No, you get those little plastic, those little jabby things that the candles sit in, right? then-
Oh.
Alright.
Yeah. So we did that without using a little bit of wax paper over it the first time, and then you get the wax on it. It's just like that. No, you put the little bit of wax paper on, then you jab the little candle things through, and then you light it. So then you have the birthday steak, and then you blow it out, and you have a delicious steak. It's
Did you at
wonderful.
least cook the steak with propane?
No.
Oh, God, no.
Charcoal.
No.
Well, that's even
way.
more sacrilege.
What?
Everybody
Mario.
knows you use charcoal.
All right. How do you like your steak cooked? Because this will determine the rest of our friendship for the rest of our lives.
Oh
Medium
no!
rare.
Seriously?
Yes. Hi. Good for you.
Damn straight.
I want it slightly bloody, like it was recently killed.
No, I want mine that with the proper amount of CPR, you might be able to bring it back from the dead, all right?
Whoa.
That is the only way to have it. As Bio's sitting there, like, getting
I'm
this
not having
literature
steak with
together
you
to send to
guys.
us about, this is why you get sick, okay?
Yeah, I'm just like, what?
I'm reminded of an episode of Coach where the entire
takes me
team
back.
gets food poisoning except for Luther, and it turns out that Luther's been eating so much raw food during his life, he's actually developed an immunity to salmonella.
It's been so long since I've seen that show.
Oh, God.
Oh God.
All right, gentlemen.
I would also kindly point out that my father raises cattle, and I have delicious. Yes. So if I ever sneak your way, I'll bring some steaks.
Excellent.
Well, Bio, that settles it. Tell Hacks that England is off the table for Orbfest 2016 after all. And we're going to be in Iowa. I'm not sure what we're going to do.
I believe on a recent episode of Far Field, Sayo was saying something about there was some ghosts on his old family farm.
I'm sure that we can find some cow ghosts.
Yeah,
in
I'm
a
sure we can come up with
slaughterhouse.
something.
I mean, yes, we can.
I'll make some
something.
orbs. I'll throw some glitter around or something.
Sweet.
Jeez.
We've got Bio. You're not supposed to tell people that while we're on air. Showmanship. Anyway.
Bio showmanship, please.
I apologize for nothing.
All right, before this gets any more off topic, for our off-topic question for tonight, gentlemen, what was the best birthday present you've ever received? And I don't remember which one of you I haven't gone with first, so Killer.
I haven't gotten.
All right, I'll give you time.
I'm trying to think. I'm gonna have to say, technically, I didn't receive it. I bought it for myself, but I did receive
That
it
counts.
because. Okay, if that is the case, the best present I bought for myself was probably my new car back in 2012. I had just gotten not so much a bonus, a reimbursement check from the contracting company because apparently they had screwed up. Apparently weren't paying me the correct amount of money that was required by the contract. So I had like $3,000 extra just like that. So also I was feeling kind of down because I had tried to date a girl about a couple of months earlier and that got totally destroyed.
Yeah.
I know, exactly. So I was feeling kind of down. And the new Hyundai Genesis Coupe model was coming out that year. V6, 348 horsepower, awesome styling I actually liked. So I go to the local dealership. It's like, hey, do you have this car? No. But we can have it in a couple of days. Awesome. So, a couple of days before my birthday, I bought a new car. And I have enjoyed it since. Until, I hit a curb with it, a year and a half later.
Fail.
And I had to spend $100,000 on fixing that. But still, it's my, I can't wait for the next one.
Excellent. Tree is saying my samurai sword in chat, so thank you for that, chiming in there, Tree. Tree also said earlier that his hero was her hero. I'm not really sure, Tree, but anyway,
Doesn't matter.
Tree's hero was their grandmother when growing up too. So, thank you for that too.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
Okay, Bio, Sayo, have either of you figured out what your best?
Really, Bio? Really?
Not a clue. And there's a humorous thing for me is that a year or two ago, I deleted my birthday from Facebook.
Really?
Yeah, because, I don't know if it deleted
right?
or if I hid it.
You can't just delete your birthday. It doesn't work that way. You still
Okay,
get
well
it.
then I set the
born.
privacy settings to just me then, where only I can see it. And the funny reason why is that and in fact, apparently they've even put a feature into Facebook where you can put your message in advance for someone's birthday. And I'm just going, really?
Oh, God.
Yeah. So now you don't even have to care to be on at the same day.
Please.
You can just go through your list, be like, okay, how do I have to work up the queue to do this?
My thing has always been, if I don't know when your birthday is, okay, Facebook telling me that it's your birthday is not going to make me,
Sure.
And I feel
Yeah.
bad because then, you end up with 75 people are sending you hey, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I haven't talked to you in 7 years, so
Exactly.
Yes.
That was the thing. Most of the people that were sending it was just okay, we were in high school together, and you made no attempt to be in contact with me after graduation.
It's like
tonight.
if
I don't care.
If I know you well enough to know your birthday, and I would know your birthday then,
Sure.
I usually send
Sure.
a card. Or something of that nature. I might say a few days ahead of time, hey, I'm going to be, running graduation on your birthday, so I just wanted to let you know that I'm thinking about you as I'm running all over the damn place.
Sure.
You're
Wow.
not far from mine.
So 2000. Gosh. Get with the times, Baroness. It's all about the Facebook and sending a quick,
It's all about the Facebook, man. You got to.
But
I mean, that's the
once
only way.
text
So
sentence,
everybody
happy birthday!
Everybody knows
Now-
what BFFs you guys are because
Now-
you put on their wall "Happy Birthday"
Now, if
on
you
the
were
right day,
Going along
or
with that
right
thought,
at
Killer,
midnight.
if we were MySpace buddies, Now, I would definitely
Oh.
send you something.
Wow. It's true.
Because
God.
that's a mark
Yeah.
of true friendship. If not only you were MySpace buddies, but you still know what that is.
Oh, God. Or you're just old.
I never had a
then.
MySpace account. I don't think. Or
Neither
wait,
did I.
Lucky.
I didn't.
either.
no, I didn't have a MySpace one.
We were
I had
smart.
to think about that. Yeah, well, Zanga was kind of the thing.
Zanga? What the hell is
high school
Zanga?
For a bit. Yeah, it's like one of the blogging platforms.
Oh.
Yeah, I used it for a bit.
I
That's where I
remember
learned to
Zanga.
hate all that stuff. It's just like, this is all petty. Like,
Was that
we're
your
talking
emo
about
phase?
your first world problems on
Emo
work.
phase.
God, I hate admitting this now, but I'm old enough to remember when Facebook first came out and you needed to be invited to
Mhm.
use it.
Oh,
You had to have
Because
a
you had to be-
.edu account as well.
Yeah, you had to be in
Yep.
college. And, yes, so there's that.
Yeah, I knew somebody who had that. I think it was the year before they opened the floodgates.
Yep.
Because it was the semester before. Because the next semester everyone was talking about it, and I didn't get one for years after that. But yeah, so I hid my birthday from Facebook, so only the people, a lot of people who need to know it. So it's all good. But the funny thing is, my my housemates in Long Island, they started coming up with this funny thing, like, if you're not going to tell us, because I didn't tell them my birthday, and it wasn't anything personal. It was just something like, I don't really celebrate my birthday, so.
You've done that to me before too, so I
Yeah,
understand
exactly. Yeah, so I didn't tell them. So they flipped that on me by just like randomly buying birthday presents throughout the year. It was
God.
hilarious. Yeah, it'd be it wouldn't be anything huge. And, you shouldn't have to do that, but it was just one of those ways for them to say like, hey, I value our friendship, kind of thing. And it was way more sincere, I felt, than any Facebook post on the actual day would have meant. So I think. I have several of the objects here kind of around me in the room, but without, listing them off, just the gifts that I knew actually came from that intent where, they really get me and, they took something I tried, an antic I tried or a little scheme, and they just flipped it over and were just like, nope. Too bad, you're going to get little birthday presents throughout the year. So, yeah.
That's actually perfect.
Yeah, I guess that's the way I kind of look at it. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time with him, and hopefully we'll get to resume that in the coming months. So, yeah.
Just the three of you. No. Instead of just the two of us. No.
Yeah.
No.
And Baroness didn't have
It's like,
her.
nope.
PPT
It's like
there.
totally
She was-
denying this. I'm totally
Yep,
denying it.
Yep. Oh, there
I know,
it is.
don't know
yeah.
these people.
Yep.
They're just faces that randomly appeared.
Alright. Moving along. Killer. Sayo,
What?
have you decided on...
I think the best present I've gotten, at least in recent history, is I got a new hat from Scott Alvarado a couple of years, last year. As you can say, that is probably both the most thoughtful thing anyone's gotten me in a while,
Sure.
and the nicest thing anyone's gotten me in a while. Other than that, because I like my hats. What can I say? Anyone who knows me personally, obviously you can see what I look like, but I'm not wearing a hat at the moment. I don't wear a red fedora on my. I can't pull that off. Only some.
No.
Mine is black, by the way, because everything is better in black.
Hey,
Just
that's what Wesley said. Always bet on black. Just saying.
No, that's Johnny Cash. But
No, Wesley Snipes. He said
I thought
yeah,
Johnny Cash was going to a funeral.
Well, I know there's at least one Johnny Cash song where he says, any fool knows you always bet on black. So.
dropping this in the chat, dropping my clip.
Yeah. Well, Wesley Snipes might have said this later on, but Johnny Cash was credit for it. Other than that, I got a really nice pair of Red Wing boots a while back. But I'm a practical person, and my wife is, for all of the things she's wonderful at and awesome for, she's an absolutely horrible gift giver. Like, it just
Wow.
it just Like, if I don't say specifically, like, hey, I want this, I don't get presents. So, like, okay. Like,
Wow.
what am I going to get you? I'm like, okay. I see how this is. Okay. Well, I'm fine. It's fine. We all have our shortcomings. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, well, the time is officially 10:34, so we are going to wrap this up for this evening. Gentlemen, Sayo, again, thank you for stepping in last minute and just kind of being the awesome dude that you are. What?
I think Bio was just saluting him and
Oh,
waving
okay.
at him.
I was like, wait.
Doing the John Cena. You can't see me.
Oh, gosh. All right.
Oh, God.
I think the plan for next week, and I could be wrong on this because I'm going to have to end up rewriting the questions anyway. Thanks, Varyar.
Yeah, Varyar.
Varyar's planning on joining us next week since we had some snafus this evening, so we'll confirm that later on. Guys, help me out. I can't even do the closing right now. Tournament of Epicness, I think we're in round 3 at this point.
And it's gotten real in the WoW Podcaster Tournament.
Really?
Let me just tell you, brackets are broken.
Speak away.
Brackets are broken.
Already?
All over the place.
No.
Yeah, because there was a huge upset with Lita.
Lita. Oh,
Yeah,
Lita was
defeating
great.
Scott Johnson, who I
Yes!
think everybody anticipated.
And Lita is Lita's awesome.
I mean, I'm
I've known her
completely
forever.
neutral.
Yeah, I've heard good things about her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've not heard her show, but I have heard good things. And when I get my WoW Podcaster opinions from Sayo and D, because I don't know a whole bunch of these people, and I don't have time to listen to all these podcasts. Let's be honest here.
There are a lot of podcasts out there.
There are a lot of podcasts, but it's getting real. I think there was an accident or something where a transformer got struck, so Sheep Moon was not able to air it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, they're not going to be discussing this past week's results. So if you want to do that, check out the forums at RivalCastMedia.com, and he started a thread to kind of let people give their reactions and vent or whatever. So yeah, so a lot of things going on there. The next week has started as of Tuesday, I believe. So vote for the next round. I'm done, quite frankly, because Bubba Caleb did not move forward from round
You still
1.
can't get over that.
I still can't get over it. No, of
Bio.
the people I know, like Ro is, I think, the last one still in the tournament who I've actually spoken to. So, like, that's all I got to bet on now is Ro. Come on, row your boat. Let's get that hashtag trending, folks. And that stuffed animal is doing its thing. It's kind of dancing there.
Sayo has no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
I do. I actually know more what he's talking about than you do.
Oh, he knows
Ooh.
more. Yeah. That's
I'm on the
That is
third
true.
on that one.
why.
True.
All right. So get your votes in. RivalCastMedia.com. Go to the forums. You should be able to vote there. Other than that, check out our other live shows throughout the week. We have community gaming nights coming up on a couple of different nights this week from what I remember. So check the timetable for that. Otherwise, RivalCast should be on tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern Time, the true time zone here at RivalCast. Yes,
Don't forget, Baron's bus is going to be tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, yes,
Yes, that's right.
because Baron
Yep.
was also on death's doorstep. Baron's bus will be tomorrow at, I think he's starting about noon Eastern Time here on our Twitch channel. So follow us there. Ghost in the Podcast will be on Sunday night, normal time. And if you haven't been on RivalCast main site, we have a number of new articles that we're posting up throughout the week. Mine's up there as well. I don't know how coherent it is. I wrote it before I got sick, so I'm hoping it's at least in some semblance of English. If not, let me know in the comments. But other than that, gentlemen, thank you.
No,
God.
check out the chat here.
It's-
Hold on.
What? Guys have been derailed. I can't
Diet Olive says
I
Baron will
can't.
show us his bus tomorrow. It's funny because there's actually a kind of a Twitch controversy going on right now because some streamers have gotten by with there's that whole rule about appropriate dress and such, and there's kind of a counter now to it.
Obviously, don't show deep cleavage. Is really what the policy is for, right?
Right. Well, and it's hilarious because I won't get into it. I think both sides are stupid. I think that as long as streamers aren't doing anything that should be on another type of webcam site, then it should be fine. Just let them do it.
Their stream, forgot that they left it on, had sex in the background.
Hey, honey. I just got off my Twitch stream and I've got a high.
Baroness, cut the stream. We gotta cut
it. Followers tonight.
I just can't even.
Anyway, I think it's dumb and yeah. But I just thought that comment was funny in light of that. So, screw controversy on the internet, folks. Just,
in addition to that, you should mention, or I'll mention, that we put together a best of Forbidden Fruit, the temptation of Edward Cullen.
Yeah, Forbidden Fruit, the temptation of Edward
Cullen. Who knows what the actually is.
Woodward.
Yeah, that's like a good 2.5 hours. It's not... it's not
You're not getting it back either.
It's not the 5-hour masterpiece that the original My Immortal is, but you should go. It doesn't help that, like the original My Immortal, that they ended up rereading like 2 or 3 chapters in addition.
So where did we start? We read chapter 19 last week, and they read like chapter 22.
Yeah. God.
Let's start back at 19.
I think it was even worse with My Immortal 2. I think they reread.
Oh yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they did
there
repeat
was
it
almost
several
violence
times.
over that.
So the
It's
next
like who would think that progression in a bad fan fiction would be something so violently desired?
It's interesting too, like how like commentary is both similar and completely different, like based on the week.
Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be those are going to continue to be filler episodes as I have time. I just need to. The next one, Metroid High, was the next sequential one, which I'll probably throw out next, and then I think, I might be wrong about this. Then it's My Immortal 2, isn't it, Bio?
Yes. Which they recently finished a few weeks ago.
And then I was thinking about going deep into the old archives and seeing if I could find the Sorting Hat, but I don't know if that's
No.
My body, my body can't handle it.
And on that note, thank you again for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. From all of us here at RivalCast Media, cheers.